Good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday, December the 21st, 2020, at about 4:45 in the afternoon. The shortest day of the year. The sun will set today at about 10 to 4, which is pretty short, really. Considering that on June the 21st it's likely to be light till about 9:40, but anyway, we're here again filming what will be Canal City Part 5, and where I'm going to walk this afternoon is through Camden Town and King's Cross along the Regents canal. So if I see any interesting details, we'll point them out to you.
Did we give you a CD?
What you'll notice is that there's heavy graffiti all along the canal here, which I find quite interesting. A lot of it isn't that great, but occasionally you do spot a bit of inspired work, so I do always look out for the graffiti. I'm on a bit of a pilgrimage actually this afternoon. As I mentioned in a previous video, I'm a huge fan of the English watercolourist painter Davidson, who actually lives here in Camden Town, and he's given clues to where his home is. It's a studio. He has at least owns part of a building with a rooftop studio, from which he says he does most of his work. And in his most recent monograph, he mentioned painting the chimney tops of Inverness Street in Camden. So I imagine that he's just there. And I haven't checked out Inverness Street on the map, but I'm imagining that that it does overlook possibly the canal, as in his latest book he mentions a lot, and he does a number of paintings here. So keeping a lookout for anything that could possibly, for example, could be up there, could be further along in one of the more modern builds, and just showing you there's a quite interesting bit of street art there, utilising a sort of pipe there as an eye. Yeah, the temperature is about 11 or 12 Celsius, 53 Fahrenheit. So as long as it doesn't rain, have no problems with that temperature, and we're okay to pass. Yeah, I love these brick arches. You can see they're pretty low, and I do have to stoop to get past them, and quite heavily decorated, shall we say, just there. Got a spot of water landed right on the foam. Before I do a piece of filming or recording, I usually do a quick recce of the terrain first, just to make sure that there's enough of interest to talk about. And having just walked in the opposite direction, I thought there was a number of interesting bits and pieces here. So stayed dry. I thought, let's get the phone out, get the camera going, see what we can see. And quite colourful little kayaks there. Showing you some of the trains here. And these over here, quite smart, or they would be in normal circumstances. It looks disused or empty at the moment there.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that any of these places could well be David Gentleman's studio. And that looks like a possibility.
Wallah.
This is the Camden market area. There's a little bit of life, as you just saw. Some of the food kiosks are doing a small takeaway service, but there just isn't the crowds. This area is normally heaving with people, especially at the weekends, and in normal circumstances, the week before Christmas, it would also be mega busy. But in terms of footfall, pretty thin on the ground today. And it's quite a decent bit. And we'll look at that. And there's some really pretty promising places there with potential. I mean, this was always a coffee shop, restaurant, now closed. Had a look at that. And you can see that there's an area called Hawley Wharf, Camden, which is going to be developed. So if the world sorts itself out, this may be a pretty pleasant place to live in the future. And show you some of the lot there. Zoom you up on that. And then next to it is quite attractive sort of canal side converted warehousing. I do like a bit of that. And I passed by this signage over here on the way, on the other, when I walked in the other direction, and I'll have to show it to you. And there's a rather attractive looking beast of some description there. Bit of that. Look at the walls here. You've got the grass growing up there. So it's still very much an ongoing project here. This Camden town area by the canal. So I'm lucky enough to sort of catch it while it's still being developed. I imagine in 5 years this will be looking very different, and what to me gives these arches character are these walls here.
We were fishing.
And there's a view there of just one of the gates open there. So December the 21st, the shortest day of the year. So traditionally one would associate, have a feeling of sort of contraction, everything being sort of drawn in. I suppose in the animal kingdom you have the concept of a hibernation, and then a period of stasis leading, of course, to the spring when everything opens up, moves about, etc., etc. Personally, I'm bucking the trend, planning to keep my ass active for 365 days of the year if I can. I think it's vital to get as much daylight as you can in these short days. But of course, you'll never hear such a message from the government health department. They won't tell you that. plenty of graffiti there. I had not expected to see too many people out on the canal today, but there are even less than what I expected. Project Fear has ramped up again with its latest bit about a new strain of COVID, 70 times more infectious than the previous strain. So the normies are running for cover, and of course London has been sealed off. Apparently you may be able to do so, but you're not supposed to leave the city, it now being in a new made up category called Tier 4. Most of us thought that it wasn't possible to ramp it up anymore, but we've underestimated just how far they'll go, really.
And so because you're not
I would not be at all surprised if a Tier 5 makes an appearance in February or March. Now, these I passed earlier, and to me this could well be David Gentleman's place. Imagining him sort of working in one of those rooftop studios and looking out at the sort of chimney tops up there. I'll make a point and find out exactly where he lives, if anything, just for my own interest. So we're about midway now between the Camden town start and the King's Cross end of this stretch I'm walking this afternoon. I'm being careful where I tread with my boots. The ground is pretty slippery, and I certainly don't want to go into the canal. Would not be a good scene. There's another of my favourite water birds, the cormorant. And for those of you who have seen my Victoria Park video will have seen the cormorant actually fishing. So that was a bonus, and then flanked by 2 seagulls. No explanation needed really, that is where the pigeons reside. Just have seen that wasn't quite quick enough, the cormorant in flight there.
Oh, so no. Put our shoes on.
No. Lucky where did that woman come up, because that guy had very big enough nose.
The other guy, the other kid,
No, I'm coming out of this now. Keep that big now.
No, we'll have Jill because Jill can't go.
And there's a quite smart looking office over there. Looks closed probably, but pretty decent workspace there.
How will it see?
It's just starting to drizzle, so I'm hoping I can reach the end of the walk before too much rain comes down. Have a look at this, that's pretty spectacular. These converted gas cylinders into residential homes. And we're in a place called Gas Holder Park, which is pretty special. Just showing you some of the King's Cross good yards and canal warehouses, but just look at the work on these. I mean, they're just quite spectacular. And I've got to show you the top there, and we'll just see if there's any information inside here. So I'm right in the middle of one of the former gas cylinders, and you can see that those residential flats have been built inside one. So to me, this is just a great place, and certainly would not mind living here myself. I mean, this is all super new within the last 5-8 years really, but just look at the detail on here. It's all been cleaned up and looking pretty good. So let's step down here. And I did see a date on one of these. I think it was 1885. Maybe it's on a... yeah, here it is. So actually 1883 there. So pretty nice. And then showing you the conversions. And just get a look at the train there coming into King's Cross Station. just see when I zoom up the top of the post office tower and GPO, General Post Office. In your picture as well is the fantastic Davidson Tower, just on the left there, which I was raving about in one of my previous walks, and just love the gold green face on the Euston Tower and the way that on sunny days it reflects the GPO tower in its face. So yep, like the building so much that I've mentioned it twice. On the right there's a bit of land called the Camden Street Nature Reserve. It's a tiny place. Haven't got a whole lot to say about it. I wonder if he can predict where we'll all be in 2030.
Oh, it is on Saturday. It was.
And this was kind of unusual. I passed by this. It looks like some sort of studio with a gift shop there. And then some pretty decent lights in there as well. More of the same. So what you're seeing in front of your middle of your screen now is what looks like more high-rises at the back of King's Cross Station. It's a development which I think is pretty exciting. Certainly for a long while the area was derelict, a bit run down, which is what I also like. And I'm just showing you the sides of this older building here. That's basically how King's Cross used to look, and then this is King's Cross of the 21st century. but just look at that, there's a lot of activity happening up there. And I'll have to show you around up here. This is pretty interesting. This is called Coal Drops Yard, and it's basically the back of those gas cylinders, and you can see it's just a series of converted what would have been warehouses and depots for different produce, and I absolutely love the brickwork here. And look at the detail just there. You've got coal office just there. So here it's just very much about the sort of 19th century heyday here, when this was an important cog, shall we say, in the wheel of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century. These what I think are fabulous brickwork buildings would be the workhouses, the light industrial premises, the workshops, the factories behind King's Cross Station on the Regents Canal. So primarily just a very important transport hub. Of course, items come in by rail, come in by canal. Just a very central place to move various items out of London and north towards the Midlands and further afield. Welcome to Coal Drops Yard. And there's a pretty decent Christmas tree there, so that's something. So it's just super brand new here. I hadn't even properly explored even this much of it. My interest is really just the canal and the adjoining buildings, and often I'm a bit lazy to look beyond that, but I'll certainly have to come back in happier times and have a good look around. Where shall we go? Maybe not there. As you can see, there's lots of individual units which would have really been ideal for independent boutiques and independent eateries, but they're all closed today. And let's see what we can see from the wall here. So there's another train exiting King's Cross. There's your Regents Canal. So just leaves me to say thank you for watching. You've been watching Kent Davidson Urban Adventures, and for much more of the same, check out my YouTube channel. Make some comments. Feel free to email me with any suggestions. Bye for now.